from 7 and All, and today I have a very special guest, my sister Lizzy, who is here to visit. We have not seen my sister or her family in 3 years due to all the border closures and everything that's gone on in the world. So if you've been watching this channel for a really long time, you probably have seen her before, but it has been a while. We missed her. We've been so happy to have her here, and she has been nice enough to say that she's willing to do a Q&A video with me. And I asked for questions from you guys on Instagram and here on YouTube, and you gave us a lot to chat about today. So we're gonna get started. We'll be chatting about our own experiences growing up homeschooled together, growing up homeschooled in a big family, and our unusual upbringing, as well as things that have happened in the future. I mean, since homeschool, not like the future from here, but things that have happened since homeschool. We'll be talking about your journey with learning with dyslexia and the differences between us and all sorts of good stuff. So I'll put in some timestamps for some of the different major questions and topics, but just get ready for a nice, fun chat with us. So, first of all, someone has asked, what paths did you guys take as far as education and work after homeschool? So what did life after homeschool look like for the both of us? I think I'll go first because I'm firstborn. I was the first one to graduate from homeschool, and just a really short recap of where I went after homeschool. I graduated, I have a summer birthday, so I graduated homeschool at 16, started college as a brand new 17-year-old. Actually met my husband on my very first day of college. He was a senior who was 7 years older than me. Just a fair warning to all of you sending off young teenagers to college. So I got married in my junior year of college. First semester of junior year, I graduated from college when I was 20. Very shortly after that, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in Mandarin Chinese. I always knew I wanted to be a writer, and it would have made a lot of sense to major in English, but that just seemed too normal for me. I wanted to learn another language. So I majored in Mandarin Chinese, but I took a lot of writing classes and really got to dive into my great love of writing and language. Immediately after college, I got a cosmetology license.
Which came in very handy even today.
Yes, I was cutting her son's hair today. I cut hair all the time, actually, for family and friends. So I've never actually worked in a salon because we moved overseas right after I got my cosmetology license. But I have always had many good opportunities to cut and style hair too, in addition to being a writer. And then, and right after that, my husband and I moved overseas. We've been overseas going on 9 years now, so the significant portion of our marriage and teaching and working and raising kids and homeschooling. So that's kind of my journey. So my post-college or post-homeschool education was a bachelor's degree in Mandarin Chinese and a cosmetology license. You had a different journey.
Yep. So when I finished high school, homeschool, I took a gap year. And while I was in high school doing schoolwork, I was teaching students English as a second language. So I had some time during the day and then sometimes on the weekend. But after graduation, I just took a gap year and I focused, and I did a lot more English tutoring and kind of had my own little business of that. And I was able to buy a car, which then helped me to go to more places and teach more students. And that was a super awesome experience. It was just super cool, and it really helped me think about and decide what I wanted to do when I went to college. For most of my life, I had wanted to be a nurse, and then I was actually at first kind of thrown into this teaching English by my mom when I was in high school. I didn't want to do it, but I got voluntold. But it was great because I realized how awesome it was for me and how much I loved it, and I totally fell in love with it. So after my gap year, I went to community college and I spent some time there, and then I got a scholarship to go to University of Michigan to finish my program, and I got a teaching certificate, not an ESL. I wanted something that was more broad, even though my goal at the time was to go back overseas and teach English as a second language. I just wanted to have more tools in my toolbox, so I actually majored in social studies, and then I fell in love with economics, and so after I graduated from college, I actually got a job teaching economics, and that's actually what I do now.
So you are an economics teacher at an international school. You also got married right out of college, like the week after graduation. And she has one young son, a toddler. So she's got a toddler, and I have two preschooler. I guess the little one's not really a toddler anymore. More towards that preschool age range. He's still a baby. I mean, you're probably still going to hear me call him baby in videos. That's kind of a joke. People know my oldest son's name is Cyrus, but they think my youngest son's name is baby. He's my baby. So that's kind of our story. And someone did ask, what happened also to the rest of our siblings
So
after
we'll go
college?
through really quick.
So we'll do like a really quick bullet point. Number 3 is our only brother. And he actually started college at the same time. She took a gap year, but then they both went back to the US together. He started a community college. He finished a degree in computers, and he works in a computer IT field now. Number 4 did a degree in education, and she is married with a baby, and she and her husband run a small urban market farm and grow lots and lots of vegetables, take them all to market. They've got chickens, they've got that whole urban farm lifestyle, organic farming, regenerative farming going on. Really cool business that they have. Number 5, just recently graduated from college with a business degree, and she is just getting started on her career. She's got big dreams, but still kind of figuring out those early steps of how do you get from degree to, you know, the great big dreams and adventures of the future. But getting started in her career. Number 6, 6th graduate, is in her 3rd year of college right now, and she's studying art education. She's a very gifted artist. She does all the illustrations for the resources that we write in her spare time while going to school full time and creating masterpieces for her classes. So those are the 6 of us that have graduated from homeschool. The last 2 are still being homeschooled. So that's a peek at life after homeschool and the many different options that it can take. So we come from a big family, clearly. We're also a big family with a fairly large age span. So it's not like the big family that we were all little kids together. We come from a big family, and some have asked, did you feel like you were forced to grow up or forced to help your parents a lot with homeschool and work and taking care of younger siblings because you were the oldest? Because both of us are the oldest kids in the family. So did you feel like it made you
both of us are going to have a little bit different answers.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going to just say in general, like, no. Like, I didn't feel like what they said, like a lot of pressure to like grow up. Like, we loved being the big kids. And we took on that role ourselves. It wasn't placed on us by our parents. My mom said to us much more often, you know, I'm the mom, you are not the mom. Like, these kids have parents and it's not you. That was much more the rhetoric, but we loved being big stuff and being the big kids. And it was so much fun. I am super grateful that I'm one of the older ones, because I got to learn so much about babies, and especially now that I have my little one, I just think about how much harder it would have been if I had like no experience with you know, babies and taking care of them. And so it was so much fun. It wasn't stressful as far as like, oh, you just have to parent all your younger siblings. No, my mom actually really didn't want us to.
And my answer would be, like, my whole family's always said about me, I was born old and I've been getting younger ever since.
Old soul.
About the time I became an adult, I started like calming down and getting okay with just being a little bit more childish. So I was born to be the oldest child. I am the classic firstborn ringleader, telling everybody what to do, trying desperately to keep them from doing stupid stuff and getting themselves in trouble. Like that was me. That was not forced upon me. That's in my blood. And of course we all did help. I've talked before, our family didn't really have a chore system ever. It was much more of like, if you see something and it needs to get done, you just do it.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of strategy to that. Like, you know, you had to help out around the house, but it was like, if there's a specific chore that you hate, then
There's
do the other chores,
Yeah.
and then you're working and you're not like having to do the one that you hate.
And there's so many people. That's like, there's a lot of people that probably someone else will do the chore that you don't like. So there was always a lot of, there's a lot going on, a lot of teamwork. You don't have to do everything because you have so many siblings. So they asked, what did you enjoy about the dynamic and what did you not enjoy? I think I've always been obvious. I love having a big family. We love that there's so many people. It's never boring. There's been one like kind of downside about it to me being the older, and for some of my siblings, much older sister, is there is that dynamic of I didn't get to grow up with them. We may be siblings, but we did not grow up together at all. My sister who's in high school right now was 3 years old when I got married. My sister who's in college right now has told me she never remembers me living at home. Which is crazy to me because I'm like, I remember living at home with you when she was little.
Yeah, we remember that so clearly. I remember when you were born. I remember years and years of,
life with you. But you don't remember me.
Yeah, they don't remember the older ones because they were tiny. And it makes sense when you think about it, but it's just kind of like that. The first time that hit me, it was like I had no idea that would happen, and I never imagined it. And it's kind of this similarly with our cousins. Like I have these deep, vivid memories, and they don't remember me. And so that's kind of hard when you have these age gaps.
So that is like, I love having much younger siblings, but it is also, that's a new dynamic because like there's the first handful of us that do remember that have that shared childhood. But then there's almost like a whole second separate family that's like, yeah, we know Lizzy and Rachel, they're old and they're married and they have kids. But they didn't like grow up with us at the same time. What advice would you give to a big homeschooling family? Would you have any advice on how to make it work?
Yeah. I think something that Mom always told us that now I think about too is like, other people come and go, but your family is going to be your family forever. Like these relationships are super important, and like friends are important too, but my siblings are my best friends, and I think Mom really focused on those relationships.
She did. And that wherever we go in the world, and we've gone a lot of places in the world, and we've had to say goodbye to really good friends, but to know like these are the people that they kind of, they are motivated to stay in touch with you because you're their family. It's not just, you never feel like, oh, I'm probably going to lose touch with my brother forever. That's not going to happen. But investing in these relationships. Also, one bit of, I think, big family parenting, it's a quote from a book that's always stuck with me, and it's from the book Cheaper by the Dozen. And it's talking about their two parents, and their father is an efficiency engineer, and they say, our father only raised 12 children, and our mother raised 12 only children. And I think that in all parenting, no matter how many children you have, there has to be some of that dynamic of to your mom and ideally to your dad maybe. You have some role of being an only child. That's like, she knows you. She knows everything about you. You're not just a number. You're not just one of the pack. But to your mom, you are, and you're in some sense an only child. That's like, you have her full attention. And I think our mom did do that. We all feel like we're not just like, she'll probably mix up our names sometimes, but that's just because there's a lot of names. She knows each one of us and how very different we are.
Right.
On that topic, we got asked about, were our learning styles similar, and did we do a lot of learning together?
Us? No. No. We did sunlight together, and we did Bible time together, like everyone, all the time. But as far as like our schoolwork, it was quite different, substantially different.
And very independent. So we did almost nothing together. Yes, sunlight, and that was mostly during elementary. By the time I got older, I was doing my own sunlight. You were doing your own sunlight. So we did very little together. I've talked in the past about that I identify more in the gifted camp of learning. That caused my mom her own set of challenges with homeschooling me. And I was not the type of child that fits very well into classes with my siblings. Also being the oldest. So I already had kind of the natural being advanced in learning from being the oldest. And then I had also the lack of patience and the lack of willingness to just like be calm and learn at other people's pace. So there was that. And then also, we've talked about this a little bit, but I don't think I've identified who you are, which one it is. But she actually has dyslexia and struggled with learning because of that. And I've gotten a lot of questions about that on this channel, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about how was it being homeschooled with dyslexia, your own relationship with learning with that.
Yeah. So like as far as us doing stuff together, some of the reason why I wouldn't do the same things that she was doing at the time or even before, like in the same grade level, was because of the dyslexia. The most difficulty that I encountered, and it wasn't really even me, but it was more my mom, was when I was really young. So when I was learning the sounds that animals make, when I was learning the shapes, when I was learning how to read, when I was putting the sounds together, learning letters, writing, the early foundational, super important, like that was super duper hard. And I was super young and I had no idea. I was just a happy kid. And yeah, school was hard for me, but it wasn't stressful. It wasn't this big crazy thing. Would Rachel laugh at me? Absolutely. Like mom's doing flashcards with me.
Yes,
and
I have vivid memories of like I'm rolling on the floor laughing while mom is trying to do shapes flashcards because she's like, here's a circle, here's a square, here's a circle, here's a square. Okay, what's this one? And Lizzy's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't understand how you can't get this. I was probably, I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I was me, so
Yes.
I had not yet learned to be very compassionate and patient. So
Yeah. But like for me, I didn't see that as like, oh, I'm super dumb. I was like, well, of course Rachel knows. She's 2 years older than me. Like, yeah, like I didn't see it as like I have a deficit. I wasn't labeled. It was just like there was enough of an age gap that anything I did, like even if I did notice, which I wasn't really that self-aware as a kid. I was just happy to living my life,
She was happy. She was the kind that would just chase butterflies, chase bees, just be lost in her own world.
Yes. And so even if I did notice something different, like, which I don't think I would have ever really done, I would have chalked it up to like, oh, well, Rachel's older or Isaac's younger or different kinds of things. And I think that's the beauty of homeschool. You can really focus on giving each kid what they need without making it this big deal and without making it super sad.
And or like you're being compared to a whole class.
Yeah, I wasn't compared to a whole class or anything. So it was actually really chill. I remember it's really only when I got way older that I was able to look back and even see and think about anything that happened. So my whole childhood, it was just happy. It was great. I had schoolwork. I did my schoolwork. I played. I had so much fun. And then, as I got older, mom would tell me more things about like, when you were little, you really struggled and this is what we did and this is what you did. And like, then I would kind of learn these things and think about it. And now like we watch home videos sometimes and I see the rest of the family is playing at this campsite and me and mom are just sitting there for hours, way longer time than the rest, like working on schoolwork. And I don't remember that like as a bad thing. I don't even really remember. I remember being at that campground and I remember all the fun we had, and so I think to mom it weighed so much more on her than it did on me. And I think that just has so much more to do with the execution and how you present it as like.
And mom's an adult, so she's understanding, what this means as like this is not the normal learning journey. This is an extra hard one. But mom's also always said like you were so diligent that you took everything, like you knew you had to get your work done. You had to learn this, and mom would take whatever time it took to teach you and to help you. And she was also very studious. One of my big memories of you, I think for your 9th birthday, you requested a spelling machine. Because spelling is a big struggle.
For my birthday.
She requested a spelling machine for her birthday, and she received a spelling machine for her birthday. She has a picture posing.
Yeah, I was
so
used
happy.
it for
years and years and years.
Yeah.
Years.
So there wasn't that I had this like zero idea of things I struggled with. I just didn't know, like I didn't know it had a name of dyslexia. I didn't know like that I was so crazy. Like all of us just have little quirks. My mom is actually a terrible speller. And so like it was kind of one of those things that I could like bond with her, and like, yeah, some people are just terrible at spelling, you know? And so it wasn't like this horrible thing. I had such a happy childhood, such a happy homeschool experience. And I think that because Mom just gave me time, my own brain
There was no rush.
Right, my own brain was able to adapt and find ways to overcome challenges and come up with, like, I guess, coping mechanisms or things to help me get through things that are challenging. I still actually struggle with stuff today, even.
And
so
you
it doesn't
still have your coping mechanisms,
right.
that you
It doesn't
can use
just
your strategies.
totally go away or something. And so I'm really grateful that I was able to kind of struggle through it, and Mom was able to just give me that time that I needed, that extra time, so that now I have those skills and strategies.
And so you even do a lot today with, like, you have your husband proofread important things, and she knows any important documents, numbers, dates, things that need to be perfect.
Yeah.
You don't try to handle those
the
on your
higher
own.
the stress, so the more important the document is,
the
the worse that the
numbers and letters and words and everything can get mixed up. So you know when you need the most help, and then you get that help, and you don't feel like it's a bad thing. It's just that's just the reality.
Yeah, we all have strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so another question we got asked were, how are your experiences similar and how are they different? Now, I feel like our experience of homeschool was more similar than like my experience of homeschool with my youngest siblings, because we were homeschooled in the same generation, like when we didn't have internet as a kid, and living in Michigan. We both remember living in Michigan and so on, and the olden days of VHS tapes. But what was similar and what was different?
It's hard for me to say because, like, I didn't know what you were doing. I just did my work.
Did my schoolwork, and I did my schoolwork.
And, like, we both did our work. I think more from, like, Mom's perspective, she would know more of, like, okay, this is what I chose for you, this is what I chose for you. And also Mom's experience, like, I was pretty easy in some ways as far as, like, homeschooling, because I would do what she told me to do and I didn't give her any fuss, but you were a little more.
I had a lot of ideas about my own education and what should happen and what shouldn't happen and what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And also I had very little patience. Like if I ever had struggled with like something in math, because I had a terrible math curriculum in high school, I would go to her and I would ask her for help with a problem, but it took too long for her to try to help me with the problem, which was very frustrating because I'm like, no, I just want you to just suddenly jump into this geometry textbook and know exactly how to answer this random question that I have, which was probably a little unfair. So we I think we're different people to homeschool. I also took some different strategies. I woke up at 5 a.m. pretty much every day in high school, and I love to do schoolwork by myself. So I would wake up before all my siblings and get a lot of my schoolwork done before they ever woke up. And then I would spend my afternoons, I would make I had a huge appetite in high school. I was so hungry all the time. That happened to a lot of us kids, but I think I especially was very hungry. I'd make myself a 3-egg omelet, bring it to my room, get a book, and just eat a huge omelet while reading a book in the afternoon while she would be doing her schoolwork, and most of the kids would be
most of the kids were like, let's just wake up like normal, just eat our breakfast like normal, and then do our school for like, the day, finish in the early afternoon, that's fine, go play. But she was always like, we gotta get this done like super fast so we can go play.
I lived life at high speed.
Yes.
High speed, Rachel. So I wouldn't say necessarily the homeschool itself was that different, but our different personalities and made it very different.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like there was a lack or something that was not fulfilled in your homeschool experience?
Definitely not during the time, for sure. I felt super happy that I kind of didn't, especially in high school, I guess I would say, deal with people every day. Like, I think middle school is so hard. I guess I'm gonna say especially for girls. And like to just be able to wake up and not think about your hair and makeup and clothes and all your friends
and what they're gonna say.
I just feel like that's so much less stressful, and I'm so glad that I could just, for so many days of my life during that crazy hormonal period, just be calm, be safe, keep learning, but not have to kind of deal with all this stuff. That as a school teacher, I'm seeing.
I see the drama.
I see the drama. It's a lot of drama in high school and middle school, and I didn't have to deal with any of that. And I'm really, really grateful. I think that reducing the stress for kids during that time is so, so important. But I mean, there's little things that now as a teacher I'm excited about because I've never done them before. And
yeah, you went to prom this year.
I went to prom
for the first time with her baby.
Yeah, we got to dress up, and I don't know how normal that is.
It probably would have been more fun. I think it would be more fun to go to prom as an adult with a husband and a baby than it would be as a teenager.
It was a blast. It was super fun. I was a little bit stressed in my student teaching just because I didn't understand what a lot of people were talking about. And like, what do you mean by prep hour? What do you mean by powder puff football? Like, I don't know what the words you're saying mean. And like, no one's explaining it to you. But at that time, I was engaged to my husband and he had gone to school. So I could just, what's powder puff football? I'm supposed to coach something. What?
They made you coach a sport?
Yes. It was like, it did not really go too bad, but it didn't go too good. But that's like a tiny, tiny growing pain. And for me, it was like, I get to eat in a school cafeteria. That's so exciting because I never got to do that before. And so I mean, now that I'm a teacher, I guess I get to live all these like High School Musical dreams, and that looks so cool as a kid. And I think it would be a little bit different if I didn't have so many siblings. I might feel like more like I would want to go to school and have more friends, but we had so many friends just right at home, and our neighbors and our church.
We also had a lot of friends. Like we
had
were
a lot
very
of friends.
involved in our church had a really great big youth group experience at the time. We were probably, to our parents' perspective, we were almost always gone in high school, going out.
That was probably the main thing when I was a teenager I would get in trouble for, is just like
being gone too much. You're never home.
Yeah. And we had tons of things that we could get involved in and things. I think where I think about this, there's actually another question here where it's like, am I planning to homeschool? And on one hand, I'm like, yes, obviously. But then the other hand, I am a teacher at a school, international school, so I see all the awesome things that other teachers do, and part of me wants it all. I want my kids to be able to do all those cool little things, use the basketball court, like, all the cool school stuff, but I also want them to get all the cool homeschool stuff. So to answer the question,
he's only one right now.
He's only one right now, and we'll just, I think, have to play it by ear, see like where me and my husband are at in life, where the rest of our family are, where we don't know where we're gonna live.
I'm still trying to convince her to live here and put her baby into our family homeschool.
So then, is that school? Is it a homeschool?
Join the crew of boys.
Yeah,
that we're raising.
So I think it'll look different in different seasons of life, but I'm super actually not opposed to putting kids in school, and I actually think you can do both. You can do like,
you can do a lot of your education
send the
at
kids
home
to school
for fun.
and like have them have fun there, but you don't have to be so stressed out about everything. And like, you can also do some of the homeschool learning and sunlight or something that you want to do at home. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Now, for my answer to did I feel like there was a lack or something missing in homeschool growing up, I would say, like, granted, we were both, all of us were homeschooled from preschool onwards, so we have no real life school experience to miss. My main experience of school is from movies, like High School Musical, or worse movies that show what schools are like, or like listening to my husband and my friends. And I would just say that the general impression I get is like, what's there to miss? It does not sound super missable. Like,
it sounds pretty stressful. It sounds like you kind of waste a lot of time. And like, I am a teacher at a real school. I see kids having to wait on other kids. I see kids wasting time because, that's just kind of the way that the system works.
And for me and my personality, especially growing up, I just hate wasted time because I want to do what I want to do. I don't want anyone to waste my time. I think I would have been a very bad fit for a school.
Yeah, and it depends on the personality of your
Yes. Yes, I think I would have specifically been a bad fit because of my intense dislike of wasted time. And that also continues with me today because I hear you saying you're kind of more open to school. Now, my husband also teaches at a good international school. I am not very open to sending my kids to it at all because I feel like it's kind of a waste of time and their time can be better used.
But that's because we have different personalities as well. Like, I am much more lazy, I'll just say it. And so, like, some of the stuff that, like, I could do, but I'm like, I don't really want to get out all the glue sticks and the glitter, and like if they want to do that at school, that's awesome.
So we have like different personalities, obviously, and some slightly different perspectives on that. Because I'm like, I don't want Cyrus to waste all his time at school. He could, whereas here he could be, for one, playing a lot, doing what he wants, and also learning the stuff I want him to learn. Like we're learning about Tchaikovsky and Vasily Kandinsky and all this really cool stuff. Plus, also, we're raising bilingual kids, which means the time wasted in school learning English is all taking away from Spanish exposure. So
That's
because of that specific goal, homeschool, it can be really helpful with raising bilingual kids.
And I think it has to be said that both of us find it curious and benefit from our husbands having gone to public school.
Yes, yeah.
So
we love to hear those crazy stories. And I am so glad that I did not meet my husband in high school.
Same.
I don't think it would have worked out. It would not. Also, I was like 11 when he was 18. So, besides that.
Yeah.
Now, what is your like best memory of being homeschooled, and do you have any like worst memories of being
Best
homeschooled?
memory, for sure. I feel like you were going to say the same thing. Is I was in high school. We had this room where like we would all do our homeschool at desks, kind of in this big room, and we were all working, but we would also.
But our mom was gone.
Yeah, our mom was gone, and we would be working and we would be talking, and sometimes it would be quiet. We'd be all working, and then someone would talk, and it was just so much fun. We were so bizarre, and like we knew that, and I had like this old cassette tape recorder, and so one day I just kind of put it on record for the day, and some of it's just quiet, and then some of it is hilarious. Just the crazy things we talked about and just jabbered on, and it's just like insane that we were actually still learning all of our content.
We were diligently doing schoolwork, but yeah, so she made a cassette tape that was just a recording of all the audio that was going on while our mom was gone, while we were doing schoolwork for a couple hours. And I don't think there was a lot of quiet time on the tape. No. I think it was mostly almost constant conversation and imaginary things, or people just saying,
talking about their
schoolwork and what they're learning about. It was every sort of thing. So that is definitely the big one that comes to mind. And then so we played it later for mom and dad, and they're just cracking up. This is like, this is what you do. Like we were doing our schoolwork.
But I love that. When in my own classroom where I have 25 kids, you can't always have a kid just being able to talk and jabber on while they work. And for some kids, that's way too distracting. Even for one of our siblings, that system was too distracting. And so there was ways to easily kind of like give her space to work on her work. And so I'm just so thankful that I was able to learn and have that fun together. That was super fun.
Was there any worst memories? I have one that's kind of a worst memory just because of how awkward it was, which was also when our parents were gone. We had all of our best adventures when our parents were gone and I was babysitting. But we decided to do the egg experiment, where you create a structure for an egg and then drop it off the balcony and see if it can safely land to the ground without being broken. So we were doing a science experiment while our parents were gone, all great. We all made our little structures. And then Rebecca, who was maybe 6 or 5 or something, we all go up to the balcony and we're supposed to drop our eggs directly down from the balcony, see what happens. But she took hers and she threw it, and it went over the wall next to our house into our neighbor's compound. And the neighbors have like big German shepherds, and there's
That was awkward.
only the elderly kind of grandma of the family was home who didn't speak English. But we're all just like, what do we do? There's like this broken egg and newspaper contraption in their house. They're gonna know we threw it in. And we're just like, we just wanna hide. But Lizzy was the hero of this story, actually, because I'm just like, hide.
We have to go. We have to talk.
But she's like, no, we have to go. We have to get it back. So she went back. She got the attention of the elderly lady who lived there, who did not speak English and did not understand what she was trying to communicate.
Yeah, she thought I wanted limes.
Because they had a lime tree. So she kept giving her limes. And then she's like, no, it's that disgusting thing. And then she finally handed back this like dripping mass of egg.
And she was like, oh, like,
she asked
this is what your dog eats.
Yeah. Huh? She was like communicating like, this is for your dog. Yeah. She was like, So that's one of the times that was kind of a bad experiment.
Because we were so stressed out.
Yes. It was just stressful. It's like, Rebecca, you could have just dropped it down like you were supposed to.
Yeah.
But that's one of the more things. And of course, there were times when we all got in trouble over something, and it's just like everyone's getting scolded, and or we messed up the whole entire house, and when we weren't supposed to. Of course, we got in trouble. And we all got in trouble together. And I often felt that was kind of unjust, because usually I was not equally culpable. It was usually because they weren't listening to me. Yes. But things like that. Favorite memory being silly together, and I think we would agree on this one. Just like a really silly story or
just
silly thing.
Not homeschool related.
Not homeschool. This is not homeschool.
Me and Rachel.
Related.
Lizzy and Rachel.
This is when I was 6, so you would have been 4. We decided to throw our mom.
Really little.
Really, really little. And I think as a mom, the story is so much more disturbing. But let this serve as a warning to not teach your children too many life skills. We decided to throw our mom a surprise party. In the middle of the night, we got up and we made brownies. So this is
in the middle of the night.
Yes.
We used the oven.
We used the oven. This is a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. We got out brownie mix. We cracked eggs into it. We mixed it all up. We followed the recipe. I'm telling you, 6 and 4. We followed the recipe. We baked it turned the oven on. Baked in the oven, turned the oven off.
It was great.
The fatal mistake we made was that we were too tired and we did not wash the dishes. And I thought about that at the time. I thought I really should wash the dishes because this is going to be a clue. But I'm really tired. We just left them in the sink. And we hid the tray of brownies under our bed.
Yeah. And this is the most vivid part of the memory for me was calling all of Mom's friends. So she had like this, phone book.
So again, 6 and 4, we got out the address book with all the phone numbers.
And we're calling all these people super late at night. All of Mom's friends, like I don't know,
my aunt and uncle, another
people
uncle,
from
cousins, my dad's cousin. We call.
I remember doing most of the talking on the phone.
Okay, so I was probably pushing the numbers, and you were doing.
You're like, you do the talking.
So we called people in the middle of the night and invited them. This is, of course, back in the day when you type in numbers, you look up addresses, all this. Then we went to bed.
And by the way, everyone on the phone were so nice. They were like, oh, what are you doing? That's really sweet. Thanks. Okay. They did not say what are you doing so late at night? Where's your mom? No, they all were like, yeah, we'll try to be there. Thanks for inviting us.
So in the morning, our dad woke up, which I think was to go to work because he usually got up first to get ready for work, and he found all the brownie stuff in the sink,
and it smelled like
brownies in the house. So he went back to my mom and asked, "Did you make brownies?
Where are the brownies?
Where are the brownies?
And where are the brownies?
Where are the brownies?" And she's like, "What?" And they didn't know, and the kids are still sleeping, so they keep smelling brownies. They go into our room, they smell brownies, they wake us up and be like, "Guys, what happened?" And then we're like, "So we decided to have a party for you."
Yeah.
And we show them the brownies, and then some people start calling my parents to tell them, "Did you know that your daughters were inviting us to a party in the night?" So
nobody came.
Nobody came. We ate the brownies. They're good.
We didn't get in trouble for that.
We didn't exactly get in trouble, but I think our parents were kind of
I think it was just so bizarre, and it wasn't really bad, you know,
But I can also imagine how, as a parent, that would be really disturbing. Like right now, I'm like, we weren't much older than my boys are now, and to think of them like baking a dessert together in the night, like that's not good.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most famous stories
Yeah.
of the totally crazy things we did together. Now you can feel sorry for our parents for our intensity and the number of
She
ideas.
was always the ideas person.
I was the ideas person.
I was the, you know, first follower.
Yes.
You know.
Inquiring minds want to know, how was it growing up with Rachel? Was she bossy?
Yes, she was.
100%.
But to be honest, it's not that bad because my personality, I don't come up with a lot of ideas, but I love having fun. And so it was like a perfect mix. It was like the three oldest really were like this little gang.
Yeah,
so like
we were the big
Rachel would
kids.
come up with the ideas and then the three of us would like do them together. And that worked out really well. You know, it was super fun, and I'm not as much of an ideas person, but you need that. You need that peanut butter and jelly. You need the ideas person, and
then you need the
followers.
person,
yes,
because if you had been full of ideas, then there probably would have been more clash.
A lot of clash, and we had so much fun.
Yes.
I mean, were there things that we didn't want to do? Yes. I remember when we lived in Kentucky, so I was in middle school or not yet.
You were probably
I was
still
older.
upper elementary, like 8, 9.
Yeah, basically, I was like, I do not want to do another play. And like, you were really into doing
I loved
plays. And we would do them, but like, it was like, at some point I was like, not another play.
I think I was inspired by Little Women. I was like, okay, a family play.
Yes.
Writing a script, practicing it, acting it out for mom and dad.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did that a lot.
Probably a little too much. So, so that was probably one point where it got irritating.
Yes, and then I think we talked about how you would be really like spurring us on to like get our work done, get our schoolwork done, get our housework done so that we could all do these ideas. And like the rest of us were much slower paced. Like honestly, not even slow paced. Like, you know, it's just
normal.
It's only just compared to Rachel that I'm slow paced. It's just compared to Rachel I'm lazy. Like I'm actually super, you know.
To a normal person.
Yeah. So, was she bossy?
I think whoever asked that already knew the
Yeah.
answer to that. And then they also asked, what was it did you do that irritated me? The most irritating thing that I remember was sharing a room because she was super messy. And I was super not messy, so like everything has its place. It's always put away properly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but our room's never clean because your whole side of the room is just
true.
all messy.
And like I wasn't as good as you, so like if I got in trouble, it usually affected you. Like,
yes.
I remember one time
Because we couldn't go places together or something.
Bad with one of your new presents, and the punishment was like, okay, the present gets thrown away, and Rachel's like, that was mine, and I didn't even do it. And so I definitely caused a lot of it.
I think our relationship actually improved a little bit when we weren't staying in the same room together.
Yeah.
Because people ask like, how was it when one of you left for college? I think we've gotten closer in adulthood. Like we were close as little kids. I think once you get to the teenage, frustrating each other.
And
years, that can be a little
I was
frustrating.
actually super argumentative too when I was like in high school, a teenager. Younger, I was very chill, but then I got super argumentative, and we are actually pretty different. Both of us are quite different, so we would just kind of argue a lot. And so then I think once you left and we had a little bit of space, it was like easier to be our own like selves happily, separately together.
Once we had, because we both do have pretty big personalities, especially once you weren't a little kid anymore.
Yeah.
And have your own space. They have a little bit of space between those, but I think we've grown to appreciate each other like so much more in the years since, and in growing up and in facing the challenges of adult life and marriage and parenthood and all of that. Being able to face that and talk to each other, and we are very close in spite of not living in the same country.
Right.
And probably we could share space better now than when we were immature teenagers. Then somebody wanted to hear more about our shop. In case you don't know, Elizabeth is very involved in our resources. She actually designs quite a few of them. She has some background in graphic design and understands the programs better than I do. So she does the more complicated designs. If it's like a really better design, it was probably her. I'm much more the words, the content, the ideas person.
Yep.
And
See, this is the same thing.
This is the same
another
thing.
time.
I'm the ideas person, and she's the person that's like, okay, we can make this idea happen. She makes my ideas happen. She brings them to life. And people wanted to know, like, what's our shop? What's our vision? How did we get started? Which you were actually a big part of getting the shop started, because I wrote the history of the Bible curriculum as something just I was really passionate about. I didn't have any outlet or anything that I could do with it at the time. I just did all the research. I wrote it because it was something I thought needed to exist. This currently exists as the Bible story, the history of the English Bible. And I sent it to you, and you were like, this is really good. This needs publication. We weren't able to start it right then because I got a writing contract working for a different curriculum company. And that was great. I learned a lot through that writing contract, kind of a dream job in some sense, but also it was a lot of hours. And with how much work I have in my normal life, I couldn't continue long term.
And you're very, very passionate and opinionated about what goes into the curriculum.
Yes.
And you didn't have control over that.
Yeah, so I was just writing content.
Yeah, having your name attached to something that you actually didn't really like was really hard.
So you were a big part of encouraging me, like, hey, let's go it on our own. Let's take it. So yeah, and I was a little bit intimidated to go from just being writing content, writing curriculum to, okay, we're going to write and we're going to design and we're going to market and we're going to have a website and a store and all of that.
And we didn't have a name for the longest time. And we hated every name that, we
And then her husband named our business.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn that? Homeschool. So it was her husband who came up with that name, and it was based on the fact, you can tell the story.
Yeah, so I'm always like he's always trying to tell me stuff that apparently I'm supposed to not know. Like, hey, did you know? Because he's just finding out about this through podcasts or different things. And like, I'll be like, yeah, like I already knew that. And he'd be like, where did you learn that? And I'm like, homeschool. So this is a conversation we've had over and over. Even now it will happen. And so like he was like, we should name the company like, where'd you learn that?
Homeschool. So it's kind of a question and an answer in our own business name. Where'd you learn that? Homeschool. So that's the story behind our name, and you were a big impetus to being like, no, like kind of pushing me that no, you can do this if you want to have control over what you write and get to write what you want. Because I had these things I was really passionate about, like the history of the Bible. And there's no business out there trying to sell a curriculum to learn the history of the Bible. So she's like, let's do it. And you had graphic design skills, and you've grown a lot also
I had
just
never
practicing.
used this program that I'm using now. And so the first ones definitely took a lot more time,
You've gotten fast.
I've gotten way faster. And it's been, I feel really happy because I had some background in graphic design, but I've definitely added to my toolbox and gotten better. And it's been really fun, and it's been honestly really bonding, even though we've done 100% of this from different countries. Different countries, different hemispheres?
No,
Are we in the same hemisphere?
we're both above the equator.
Okay. Yes. But we're far away.
Different countries, just through, little video calls while all of the toddlers are like busy and needing us, and we're changing a diaper, or we're watching the kid in the bathtub while we're trying to discuss
and not just
what
us.
needs to happen.
It's also our other sister in another
country who's doing the illustrations, and my mom. So this is a business that's coming together in the scraps of time by homeschool moms and by my sister, who is a full-time college student and getting these illustrations done in her free time and her scraps of time.
But in the same way that like it was bonding when we were kids to do all these ideas together, same thing. I love, even though our family is so separate, we are doing this together, and the stuff we put out is so special. And I'm so excited. And as far as like where I see this going, I just want to have more of these special products out there, because we're pretty new. We've actually come so far already.
2 years.
But I just want to see more of we have so many ideas and we just need time. Like we were just talking about this, like,
how am I
what
going to
can we
get time?
do? How can we strategize to like just get a little bit more time to pour these passions in? My younger sister who does the artwork, she doesn't really do anything too much with the curriculum writing. She just came up with an idea that she emailed us that she's like super passionate about a new curriculum. So it's growing, and even people who were maybe more standoffish on the idea before, they're seeing the value and they're becoming more excited about it. And
so yeah, so the question was, if time and money were no object, where'd you learn that going? And time is our biggest object
right now.
biggest object right now of where to get the time, because we are busy moms with young kids and work and responsibilities, but this is something we're very passionate about, creating the resources that are needed but don't exist in the homeschool world. So like we just launched this new series of literature guides that are not going to be the incredibly tedious, draining literature guides that you would normally find, but quick, easy to implement, helping kids to get more out of a story. And where I'd like to see Where'd You Learn That going, I'd love to see it really become a name that people know in the homeschool world, where we have more products that people can turn to and they can know and can recommend to their friends and say, oh, did you pick up your literature guide from Where'd You Learn That for that? You know, it's only $3.49. It's a steal of a deal. And where people can use our Christmas unit and our Easter guide and these things, a name that's known like these other, maybe not, you know, big level like Sunlight and these big companies, but something that people do know throughout the homeschool world and have heard of. I'd love to get to that point. It's going to take a while, and we're probably going to have to grow in our knowledge of marketing, because that's a bit of a weak point for sure. I am the typical writer who just wants to write, but I'm constantly pushing myself to get outside my comfort zone. But yeah, that's where we hope to see it going. I think, and someone also asked, is homeschool legal in Asia? Asia's a really big place. Homeschool is legal where I live. There is a local homeschool community that's small, but it is growing. It's becoming more common in my country and in my community as time goes on. And in different parts of the world, you know, you always have to just follow your own local laws. So I think this is our Q&A for today. We chatted with you plenty. Thank you so much to Lizzy for joining this video, but also not just this video, but being so active behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Always encouraging me with video ideas of watching the videos and sharing like good thoughts that help me build more thoughts, and also helping with the resources. So when you use your Where'd You Learn That resources, you can thank her for her great design work. And I'll be seeing you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.